As a property investor, sometimes you'll buy an investment property and it will already be tenanted as an investment property with another owner. When you see your conveyancer or your legal guide through the conveyancing process, that's at the point where you'll need to discuss your property management and what option you're going to go for. Today we're going to be talking to Tom Blackhurst from Blackhurst Law, who has a phenomenal amount of knowledge about conveyancing and is going to really help us to get the most from that process. Thanks for joining us today, Tom, from Blackhurst Law. It's really a pleasure to have you here today, mate. So you've been doing, you're a conveyancer. Have you been doing conveyancing for a long time?
Yes, I've been doing it for about 7 years now. So my background's actually in corporate law. And I was working at a large firm in Brisbane. My wife was working in conveyancing on the Gold Coast for another legal firm. And the opportunity to start our own firm came up. We grabbed it with both hands. And we've been doing it ever since, so it's been fantastic.
Well, that's fantastic, Tom. And look, I know I've used you before and I had a great experience with you. There's so many conveyancers out there in the market today and so many options for someone who's looking to get a conveyancing done. Is there any significant difference between the different conveyancers that are out there, and what should somebody be looking for when they choose a conveyancer?
There's huge differences,
Wow.
huge differences. So largely there's two different business models. So there are lawyers that charge very little fees, but they still need to make money. So the way that they make money is they charge low fees and they just take on a lot of clients. And you might hear some horror stories that have happened when people buy and sell property. Almost always those horror stories are these people that they try and save. And when I say cheaper, you're not talking huge amounts of money, $100, $200 cheaper. And so the way they make money is they load up their conveyances on with clients, and if everything goes smoothly, there's not that much that can go wrong. It's paper pushing, and there's a few things that have got to go into it. But when the slightest thing goes wrong, or when there's a unique situation about a property, very quickly you'll notice the difference. And so the way that we work is we limit the amount of clients that we take on. So we don't have any open marketing. We don't have any large campaign to the public. We work primarily with property partners and with existing clients. And by putting a cap on clients, it means that we're able to give them the attention that they need. Right. So every one of our clients gets the mobile phone number of myself or my team. Every single person gets allocated a dedicated person to the conveyance. You get the individual email address of the person that's working for you. So there's a huge difference. When you're buying or selling your largest asset, it's important that you're able to contact the person that's working for you. Yep. You're able to ask them questions. And even if it's just hey, I've signed the form here, is that right? Yeah. Sometimes actually that can be an angst question for someone, and just being able to pick up the phone straight onto the mobile, answer the question. It's a huge point of difference.
Well, I guess it does make sense. It's not like we're going to Kmart buying a yoga mat, or to our local electric store we're buying a house that could be the biggest investment we ever make in our lives. So I guess a few $100s to get it right would make sense. And you did mention horror stories, and I'm sure you've had a few of them, but I have some as well. Like my own mother, she bought a house and it was in a flood zone. And, she's kicking herself about it to this day because it's such a big expenditure, and she didn't know that every few years the house would be flooded. Yeah. So there was she regrets that she didn't go and not just use she used the cookie cutter kind of conveyancing approach and didn't get someone who actually had her best interests at heart.
Yeah, and as well, it can be because when you're purchasing property, there's two costs. So there's your conveyancing legal fee, and then there's also search costs. So to cut a long story short, in Queensland, we're a buyers beware jurisdiction. So what that means is any debts or any issues in the property that aren't resolved prior to settlement will legally pass to you after the settlement.
Okay.
And so what a lot of these sort of conveyancing firms that try and keep their costs down, the way that they do it isn't always on their fee because they still want to make money. They do it by not recommending searches for people to do, so they can sort of save money on the overall cost. But when you don't do a search, you're just rolling the dice. And so there are searches like the flood search that commonly gets looked over in an attempt to try and keep costs down. But I mean, a flood search is it's like $40, $50, and it's incredibly, the implications of
So
the search is
important.
incredibly important. So
Yeah.
for us, what we do is we say, here are all the searches, here are the ones that we recommend.
Right.
And then we leave it up to the clients to decide, rather than dictating to clients,
Yeah.
what search is there to do, which
Yeah.
a lot of firms do.
Well, I did my conveyance with you, Tom, and I actually saved a lot of money, because if it was just me doing it, because I thought I could do it, I've done it in the past, but I wouldn't have done a rate search.
Yes.
So little to my knowledge, the property actually had thousands of dollars of rates owing on it. So if I wouldn't have done those searches, I would have been kicking myself with this thousands of dollars of bill that I would have got from the city council.
And that's actually, I had someone, this is going back a few years ago, and they called me, they inquired, I gave the quote, they said that they wanted to go ahead with someone cheaper, that's fine. They went ahead with someone cheaper. They called me about 5 or 6 weeks later, and they said, Tom, we've settled the property, we've just got this rates bill, our conveyance is doing nothing about it. And I said, okay, well, what's the rates bill? And he said, just under $20,000.
Oh my God.
What do we do? And
of
at
course,
that
the
point,
loan doesn't cover, your home loan.
No,
No one's
that's
going
right.
to cover that for you.
That's right. And there was very little that he could have done. And he goes, oh, what can I do next time to avoid? And it says, well, we'll just get someone, firstly, who's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Secondly, who's not overloading themselves on work. They're quoting a fee that is necessary. And thirdly, that actually is competent at the job. So there's in conveyancing, there's two sorts of people that do it. There's lawyers and there's conveyancers. Right. A solicitor, a lawyer or a solicitor is what you understand it to be. It's done a degree, is a lawyer, is admitted to the Supreme Court, has formal legal training, all those sorts of things. A conveyancer is just a general term. It doesn't actually mean anything. If a person who is not a lawyer does property law, you either call them a paralegal or a conveyancer. It's just just a job title. In Queensland, there's no qualification for it. There's no formal training for it. It's just a word that we use to describe a non-lawyer who's working in property law.
Wow.
And this is the other thing, when you say, when you're talking about when you're trying to size up who you want to act for you.
Yep.
If you compare law firm with law firm, you can compare conveyancer with conveyancer, but you cannot compare solicitor with conveyancer, because the expertise difference, the service difference, it's just not comparable.
I definitely agree with you, Tom, and I feel like a lot of us who buy properties, we don't really know what conveyancers or solicitors do, and I think that's part of the problem. So I found using you was very educated for me as well. I felt like you guys were able to provide information to me. It wasn't just I wasn't just another number in the system. If there was something I didn't understand, I could actually ask the question. Do you find there are a lot of people out there similar to me who don't really understand what happens in the process, and you do have to provide some information along the way?
Oh, almost no one knows and even people who have bought before, because and I sort of talk to them, and they're using me for their second or third or fourth purchase. Yeah. And I say to them, okay, so you've been through this before. Do you want me to run you through it? Are you pretty comfortable with it by this point? And they say, well, I actually have no idea how the process works. And I say, who did you use last time? Oh, I don't even remember. So you've got a solicitor who, as you know, we're intimately involved in every stage of the process, from helping you submit an offer, contract reviews, all of your conditions, all of your searches, all your settlement preparation, your post-settlement work. Yeah. How can you not remember who did the conveyance for you, or who did the property purchase for you? It's because most solicitors are so hands-off, again, because what they're doing, they've just got so many clients that they're taking on. They're following their checkbox, they're following their process. Yep. Whereas with us, we really do try and see every person as an individual. Yep. They've got their own issues. There's some things that they understand. There's some things that they don't understand. Yep. And our motto at our firm is to be humans first and lawyers second. Because if you treat people like people, you explain it in terms that they understand, you make sure that after you've explained it to them, they don't just say, oh, okay. And then there's that sort of, they haven't understood what you've said. Yep. Say it again in a different way. Explain it till they understand it, so that they're confident, because it's going to help them make their decisions. And for us, it's going to make, if your client doesn't understand what you've just said, they're likely going to come back with more questions. So it benefits us to just answer the question for the first time. Wow. And then when it comes to the next time, they're going to use you. because
Yes.
they felt confident the whole time. They felt like
Yeah.
they could contact you the whole time.
Yeah.
And we've just had a review just yesterday on Google, and they said that every single time they called us, we answered the phone. Every single question that they had, we answered first time. There was no, oh, we'll get back to you. We answered it on the call. And most importantly, they said it was a set and forget. They didn't have to stress about anything because they knew that we were across it because of
Yeah.
our constant updates and everything.
Yes, I do find that was fantastic, because a lot of the times when you're getting someone to provide a service for you, as the customer, you're the person that has to be following up. But I did find with you guys, you have a great system where you let us know what's happening as we're going along the journey. And that is so reassuring, as you can imagine, when you're buying, such a big asset that you're buying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So in other words, you guys, not only is there a difference between a conveyancer and a law firm in that you're getting a much better service from someone who's able to explain it to you and knows what they're doing, but you also provide a personal service that helps educate people and show people along the way what's happening, and there's a process to it all as well.
That's right. And the reason for that is really simple. I'm in this for the long term. We've got a vision for Blackhurst Law that we will be seen as an expert property advice firm on the Gold Coast, that we're going to be the go-to for people.
Yeah.
And in order to achieve that vision, what we need is, firstly, we need the staff to be able to do it, and we've got a fantastic team at Blackhurst Law, and we are growing.
Yes.
And the way that we do that is by clients coming back and using us again.
Yeah.
And because there's very few, there's actually very few people in conveyancing that will use the same conveyancer twice, because they'll take the recommendation from their mortgage broker on the next purchase, they take the recommendation from the agent,
Yep.
or quite frankly, they forget who they used the first time because the
Yeah.
conveyancer was so hands off.
Yes, right.
So with us, we really do try and treat people individually,
Yep.
look after them,
Yep.
do a great job for them,
Yeah.
not just get through the legal aspects,
Yeah.
enjoy the ride with them. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing like a person who's towards the end of their working life and they've just sold their property. Now they've cashed in the fruit of their labours,
Yeah.
or the first home buyer that's just bought their first home after 6 or 7 years and 3
Yeah.
failed contracts to get
Yeah.
it. So to ride the emotions as well, and
Yeah.
that's why we've got a wall in our office where we have all of because we get Google reviews and they're great. Problem with Google reviews, you need to have a Gmail. You need to
Okay.
know how to do it.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of clients that will email us and they'll say, "Oh, I can't do the Google review, but here's this." We've got a wall with all those positive comments on it, so
Wow.
that our staff can see that not only are you just doing work and you just your normal day to day, we're changing lives, and we're
Yeah.
making we're making what is normally a stressful process
Yeah.
enjoyable and a positive emotional experience.
So you get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people and showing them what's possible. And
100, and this was, so I came from the corporate world,
Right.
Okay, where huge ASX listed companies, massive transactions, international cross-border transactions, and it's very transactional. It's very dollars. It's very compliance and whatever. With conveyancing, what I loved about it was it was, you get to ride the whole journey with the client. So you're
Right.
normally introduced to the client when they're looking for a property and they're
Yes.
nervous and they don't know what's going on and
Yeah.
what's the next steps, and
Yeah.
oh, apparently I need a lawyer. A lot of people don't even know they need a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then you ride that all the way through to the settlement when they're picking up the keys and they're standing with the agent on the driveway, and
Yeah, wow.
it's a wonderful area of law because you get the legal side,
Yes.
which I love. I love the law. I love the intricacies of it. I love explaining it to people who want it to be explained to them. I love to
Yeah.
do it.
right.
But it's the emotional side that gets me the most. Is the hearing that when I make that final call when the settlement's gone through.
That's fantastic.
The major points of difference is going to be this: you're going to have my mobile phone. That's huge. Not even people that give out their mobile phone number. Quite often, it's actually a landline that has a mobile phone attached to it, or
Okay.
alternatively, it's a work phone that gets switched off. You've got after-hours access, including on weekends. So we review contracts with clients on Saturdays because sometimes you need to sign the contract on the day.
Yep.
We do complimentary pre-signing advice. So this is another big one for buyers. So if you're needing a contract reviewed, you can send it through to us. We have a guaranteed 2 business hour turnaround time, and it's completely complimentary, so that buyers have got confidence as they enter into contracts.
Yep.
And then you will be treated as an individual.
Tom, did you say 2 hour?
2 business hour guaranteed
business
turnaround
hour.
time. Yep. So we
Wow.
can get it done on Saturdays, but Saturdays depends on what it is. I've got 3 kids under 4, so sometimes I can't commit to the 2 hours. But certainly during the week, 2
Yeah.
business hour guaranteed turnaround time. If you get a contract to us before 3 o'clock on a given day, guaranteed I'll have it back to you before 5.
Wow.
And even after that, I almost always can, but
Yeah.
just can't guarantee it. And then on Saturdays, I know there's agents around, particularly when there's highly contested properties and you've got to sign it today, or they're going to be taking it to someone else, or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And so when there's those sorts of situations, I don't want you missing out on a property. If you're a client of mine,
Yeah.
give me a call, and I will review the contract for you on the Saturday so we can get it done and lock in the property. So
Wow.
there's
That
little
is
things
phenomenal.
where it's and I suppose that's where we were talking about earlier. I do have a lot of passion for this.
Yep.
It's not just a job for me. It's not just a business for me. I really love what I do.
Yeah.
I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And that'll come through with the service, with the after hours access, with the Saturdays and all
Yeah.
those sorts of things. It really adds up over time.
Yeah.
And that's why we're one of the highest ranked firms in Queensland on Google. Because of that, you could sort of see it coming through. So it's always great when our dedication to what we do really does come through for people.
It sure does. And I know because I experienced it myself and I really enjoyed the journey. And what an amazing future you have, and what a great opportunity is for anyone out there to connect with you and get their conveyance done through you.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dom.